We are back once again in the magical year of 1985, continuing our look at the ThunderCats toy line by LJN. Last time we checked out Series 1, we took a look at the quick and deadly Thundercat warrior, Tigra. This time we're taking a look at a figure that got remade in Series 2, since the original version looked far too young. Because of this, collectors have dubbed this version Young Tigra, and today we're going to be taking a look at Young Tigra, here on Creed's Collection. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Creed's Collection. Today we're taking a look at Young Tigra from the 1985 ThunderCats toy line by LJN. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Creed, you're losing it, man. You've already done this toy. But that was old Tigra from Series 2, 1986 ThunderCats. This is the OG Tigra, the original gangsta Tigra. And you might also be thinking, well, why didn't you do the first one first? And it's because I didn't own him until very recently. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at Young Tigra. This version of Tigra is actually a really excellent action figure, despite the fact that he doesn't look quite as much like the cartoon as the second version. His face sculpt is actually really excellent, and all the paint looks very crisp. Much like Tigra, finding a young Tigra with good face paint and the symbol intact is pretty difficult. Beyond some scuffing here on the black stripes on his head, in my opinion, this Tigra looks really good. His right hand is molded to hold his included Bolo Whip, but his left hand can't hold it at all. It's obviously just in an open position. And I really have to applaud the sculpt on the muscle tone here in the legs, here in the abs, the rib cage. This is really nice work. Down here at the bottom, you can see that Tigra has toeless boots, and this is unique to him. No other ThunderCats in Series 1 have this, and I think it's the superior design. After all, if a cat's going to climb something, they generally use their claws, and how's he supposed to use them if they're underneath the boots? In my opinion, all the ThunderCats should have boots just like that. The most notable thing on Tigra's back is his Battlematic action switch in the center of his back. All the ThunderCats figures have these, and it allows you to simulate them attacking by flicking the switch down and up. It makes one of their arms, or both of their arms generally, do some sort of whipping action with their weapon. And that works perfectly for Tigra since his included weapon is a Bolo Whip. I'll always take posability over action features, but like Tigra, this one's pretty good. Here's a better look at the Bolo Whip. It is two plastic balls, and they're attached via this nylon string. The handle here is just a piece of rubber that's wrapped around it, but it gets the job done. And here's a comparison of young Tigra's Bolo Whip and old Tigra's Bolo Whip. The biggest difference being that old Tigra's Bolo Whip is a bit longer and has bigger balls. And I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions on that one. I couldn't resist that. Tigra's whip fits in his hand perfectly, and he has no trouble hanging onto it. Now it's time to check out Tigra's articulation. Here at the hip, he does have a 90-degree bend forward, or it's pretty close, not quite 90. And his legs will not go back at all. Now here at the arm, he does have a joint that can go all the way up and around full 360 if you wanted it to. Now his other arm has the Battlematic action attached to it, so it doesn't really pose very well. That's unfortunate, but it's just part of ThunderCats figures. Now his head can turn left and right, and that's it. That's going to cover all 5 points of articulation for Young Tigra. The copyright information for Tigra is located on the bottom of both of his feet. On his left foot you can see 1985 Telepix, and on his right foot, LJN Toys. And now for our He-Man size comparison. While Tigra's a bit taller than He-Man, as I've said many times, ThunderCats figures scale very nicely with Masters of the Universe, and you could easily display them together. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and do an old Tigra size comparison as well. You can really see the changes they made in the figure when they re-released him. He definitely looks more mature in the face, he's not nearly as skinny, and he's a bit taller as well. I definitely prefer old Tigra to young Tigra, but as a collector, I had to have both. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for Young Tigra. from the 1985 ThunderCats toy line by LJN. Fun fact, roughly 90% of the toy retrospectives I've done on Creed's collection are based off of my childhood collection. That was kind of the point of the show, to revisit these toys I've had since I was a very small child. I have to say though, it's pretty fun to spike in a recently acquired vintage toy like this every once in a while. It helps keep it fresh for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. It would help me on my way to my goal of world domination. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday. So hope to see you next week and every week after, here on Creed's Collection.